welcome. Thank you for showing up tonight. Appreciate it. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Jamie Fedorowicz, but most people know me as simply Bear. I am excited and honored to serve as the newly elected president of the Waupaca Chain Skiers, alongside our hardworking, dedicated board of directors. 6 short years ago, my kids begged me to join the team so we could ski and perform together. I never imagined I would dance. Never ever. In front of a crowd, and that my family would grow to include such a large number of chain skier friends and teammates. I am blessed to be a part of such a great family-friendly organization right here in the small town of Waupaca. Before we start our program, I'd like to recognize a few of our previous directors: Thad Markham, Dan Everts, Lori Maloney, and Amy Markham. All four of these people have put their hearts and souls into the team for the past 8 years. We appreciate their hard work and dedication and are happy that they are continuing to be part of the chain skier legacy. Next, I'd like to introduce our current board members, our board of directors. Our vice president is Daniel Osmond. Hello. Daniel and his family recently joined the team and have jumped in hook, line, and sinker. Daniel is always the first one to help in any way needed, from putting in and taking out the docks, even if the water's cold. Hauling skis and equipment, driving boats for junior practice. On the board, Daniel plays an active role coordinating the ad book, building sponsor relationships, and helping with the boat and motors. And he is not able to make it, Woody is not able to make it here tonight, but our treasurer is David Wood, known as Woody. Woody plays a crucial role handling all the team finances and various fundraising events, including our famous duck race held at Strawberry Fest each year. Woody's family includes multi-generations of our team. Our youngest member, Harper, 6, her brother Carson, who is 9, Woody himself, and the oldest member of our team, Dennis, who is 75. My wife Renee is our secretary and does a great job working behind the scenes, communicating with the team, coordinating events, and keeping records of all the chain skier functions and meetings. You will find Renee at almost every junior and main show practice, helping out wherever needed and working with the youth of our team. One of my closest friends on the team is our safety director, Rich Malone. Rich has been skiing with his family for the past 12 years and has been serving on the board for the past 3 years. Rich is also helping the team. Rich has also helped the team in any way he can, adjusting ropes to exact sizes, keeping our equipment in tip-top shape, and of course, keeping everyone safe, both on land and on the water. Up next is our show director, Dan Watsman.
Back here.
Dan has been skiing on the team for the last 13 years. With his children, he has been our show director for the past 4 years. During his time as show director, he led us to win the Division III title at the state in 2016. Since then, Dan really helped us step up our game as we now compete in Division II. You will be hearing more from Dan on the show directing end of things shortly, so stay tuned and all that he has to share. And many of you know the one and only Tom Heckrow. Tom has been a director for the past 5 years and has been one of our key boat drivers for the past 27 years. Tom has taught countless people, from kids to adults, how to ski. This man is always smiling, right? And has more patience than anyone I know. Tom's love and compassion for the team is truly amazing. We are blessed to have him as a boat driver, mentor, and advisor that our whole team looks up to. So now that you have met all of our current directors, let's go to the fun part. I will turn the mic over to the longest skiing member of our team, 34 years. Waupaca's very own, Tim.
Well, welcome everybody. Glad to see all of you here. Great to see a number of chain skiers from the past. I mean, I see some that have been here back in the 80s and in the 90s and in 2000s. So, like Bear said, I'm Tim Lanke. I think most of the chain skiers know me as TL. And in fact, I'd venture a guess that there are probably some kids on the team who do not know my real name because I'm just TL to everybody. And as Bear mentioned, I've been on the team for 34 years. I started when I was, I think, about 14 years old, and I remember driving to ski practice on my bicycle, holding my skis, going to the practice, and just before I even had my driver's license. I first got into the chain skiers when I was at a show, and they announced that they were going to have a Learn to Ski Day. And I thought, oh, this is cool. I had known how to ski already. I could ski on 2 skis and 1 ski, but I just wanted to learn a little bit more. So I went to this Learn to Ski Day. A guy by the name of Andy Crumrine was there. He took me out in the boat, and he taught me how to barefoot water ski on this Learn to Ski Day. And from then, I was hooked. I said, that was it. I'm in. And the next year, I joined, and then the rest is history. No pun intended there. So that I'm still going today. But what I want to do tonight, my role tonight, is to kind of take you guys through a little bit of the history of the chain skiers and how it got started and things like that, and kind of bring it all to where it is today. How many of you in this room have seen a water ski show? By show of hands. So most everybody here has. So essentially a water ski show, it's a combination of a number of ski disciplines together with pyramids and doubles and slalom skiing and barefoot water skiing. And it's all choreographed to music, centralized around a theme that tells some kind of a story. That's what show skiing is all about. Show skiing got its roots, just to kind of go back to let you know where it's at. It actually got its roots in New Jersey, on the East Coast. A guy by the name of Frank Sterling in 1928. He signed he was an entrepreneurial type guy, signed a contract in Atlantic City to have its very first water ski show. Not much was, don't know a whole lot about what happened there, but that was the very first water ski show on the East Coast of New Jersey. But water skiing really didn't jump into the American culture until a guy by the name of Dick Pope Jr. In the early 1940s, 1942, he had a theme park in Central Florida, and you may have heard of this theme park, Cypress Gardens. Anybody heard of Cypress Gardens? Okay, he brought water skiing into that show, or into that theme park, and for years and years and years, they had this water ski show there, and that's what really drove show skiing into the American society. People really understood what it was all about because of those shows. And in fact, I think I'm going to have to get the hook at times here because I'm just going to diverge all the time. But a number of years ago, I had the privilege to actually go down and ski. I did some ski training with SeaWorld down in Florida, and I actually got to ski on the Cypress Gardens show sites back there. It was just really cool. They had double jumps going up, so you jump one way, you come, you jump other way. But show skiing really got known during that period of time in Cypress Gardens. Now, it finally made its way up here to Wisconsin and the Midwest in the 1950s and into the 1960s when it became popular. And there was a ski team not too far north of here. Any guesses what town it might have been that started show skiing in Wisconsin?
Rapids.
Any name? No? Rapids?
Minocqua?
Minocqua, yes. Anybody know the name of the team in Minocqua? The Minocqua Bats, yep. So it's said that there was a family in Minocqua that they must have had a cottage kind of near the waterway, and they would water ski together as a family. They do all these cool things, and cars driving by would just stop and they'd be like, "Wow, this is cool." I mean, to see these guys water ski. So it eventually grew and grew and grew, and in 1950 they became the first water ski show team in the state. And believe it or not, Wisconsin is the hotbed for show skiing. It was just, you would think Florida or somewhere else, California or something, might be one of the hotbeds for it. Nope, it is Wisconsin. They have the most water ski teams over any state, and I think there's probably close to 30 water ski teams somewhere out there. So, in our state alone. So it's neat to think that right here in a cold weather state, Wisconsin, as we're out looking at outside today, that is the hotbed for water skiing. Well, the chain skiers, click that. The chain skiers got their beginning. So if 1950 was the Minocobats, it was about a decade or so later that the chain skiers kind of got their start. And there were, this is really cool. Renee had found, she had talked to one of the treasurers that we had back. I think it was Gary Williams that you met with, right? Yep. I think he was back probably 15-ish years ago, somewhere in that range. But he had found some minutes from some of the very first gatherings of the chain skiers. So here's a copy of it. 1961, June 17th of 1961 was kind of the first gathering of people to say, hey, this is a cool area. Let's get a water ski show going here. So there are 16 people present in this meeting. Elmer Dushek, Ruth Finch, who I know some of us here remember Ruth Finch. She in fact helped us keep our boats at her dock on Round Lake for probably up until maybe 10 years ago or so when she passed away. Jerry Murphy was in there. So there were about 16 people present, and they said, hey, let's do something here. So a gal by the name of Mary Wendt made a motion on the floor to start a water ski team in our area. And it was seconded, and then a guy, and I'm not sure about these minutes because it goes back and forth between a guy named Roy Woolsey and a guy named Bill Woolsey. So I'm not sure if they just made a mistake or there's actually brothers that were both into that. But he said, hey, let's name this team the Chain Lakes Water Ski Club. And so it began, June 17th, 1961. It got its incorporation in 1962 officially, but that first meeting was followed up just a couple of weeks later by another meeting where they then would need to nominate the directors for the team, and they nominated who was the first guy? What did I say? I forget the name already now. The first guy, Elmer Dushek. Elmer Dushek was the president, Jerry Murphy was the treasurer, and then Ruth Finch was the secretary. So it was that second meeting that they kind of looked over the bylaws, got things together. They set the dues. And here's where I had to laugh. They set the dues for how much it costs to be a chain skier. Any guesses? A single membership. $2. I want to make a motion to bring that back. I don't think we can function anymore. For a family, $5 for a family back in 1961. So they made the nominations there. Elmer Dushek was the president, Jerry Murphy was the treasurer, and Ruth Finch was the very first secretary of the club. The very next month, on August 5th, they set the first annual meeting, of which they had like 23 people present and over 30 members really at that time, because Ruth was in charge of kind of being that spearhead to get people to come in and join, and she obviously did a good job. I mean, 30 people back then. I mean, I don't know, how many do we have now on our team? We're probably 60, yeah. So I mean, it's double now, but that was pretty good back then for something that was hardly known to exist around this area. So the first meeting was then on August 5th, or the first annual meeting was. But I wanted to read to you just a sentence. So this is why the chain skiers came into fruition. This is from Elmer Dushek. The reasons for the organization of the club, as stated by Mr. Dushek, were to promote the sport of water skiing through group participation, sponsoring exhibitions, shows, tournaments, and associated recreational activities for the mutual benefit of the members, and to develop and maintain facilities for water skiing, to stimulate interest in water skiing among non-skiers in the community, and to work for greater safety of water skiing. So from what I can gather is that they formed to put on some shows. They formed to help kind of be an advocate for water skiing in our community and teaching people how to ski. And they looked into safety issues because they still had the same safety issues back then with activity on the chain of lakes as they do now. In fact, there's some mention in the minutes about some accidents that happened as a result of water skiing, and they're trying to make things a little bit safer during that time. But it was neat. I spoke over the phone this week. I talked to Jerry Murphy, who was the very first treasurer of the team, and I asked him a little bit about these beginning years, these fledgling years, and he said, I'm getting up to it. It was a little sketchy as to what he could relate back to me, but he said that they did a really good job with that part where they're instructing the community on how to water ski. He said that there was probably, and it states in the minutes as well, the first several sessions that they had of water ski lessons, if you want to call it that, were at the Indian Crossing beaches. So there must have been a beach there. I don't remember that. Maybe some of you here do. But they had pretty large groups of people. I mean, they had one session, they said they had 20 people, another was 30 people, and 40 people that participated in these Learn to Ski Days, which is really kind of neat back then. We still do the Learn to Ski Days to this day, and as you know, as I mentioned at the beginning, that's what actually got me into the club. But we probably get, how many did we get last year? It was probably 30, 40 people.
Or something.
So it's pretty neat to think that there's still, those things were working back in the 1960s, they were working in the 80s when I came in, and here we are in the 2000 teens, and it's still happening. It was really neat. But what happened though is that from 1961, it kind of was going, then around 1964, 65, Jerry said that it kind of just fizzled out. It kind of went debunked. And there really was nothing that he knew of until about 10 years later, in 1972, when three men, Pete Micklejohn, Bob Lund, and many of you know Pat Meehan, who was the owner of the harbor, joined together and said, hey, we got to get this thing going again. They had a meeting at the Indian Crossing Casino, and they started the team, and since then, 1972, we're still going strong since then. If you want to hit the slide. Back in that day, in the early 70s, they had some acts like this, so an act might have been as simple as carrying an American flag on two skis, but the kite's there. The kite was a neat thing. I don't know if this is him, but Wayne Colden was the guy who did the kite, and I know a couple of you here probably remember Wayne Colden. He used to, at halftime in the shows, he used to set up this kite on the land, on the veterans' homeland, and I think there was about 500 feet of rope, and that boat would just take off across the lake, and it'd be going, and going, and going, and this rope is like flying out, and all of a sudden, up he goes in that kite, and he's flying around Rainbow Lake, and then they cut the line, and he'd come down and land that thing. You don't see that anymore. I mean, occasionally, I think maybe within the last 5-6 years I saw maybe one or two kites in some shows, but you just don't see it anymore, probably because of liability in that. But another cool thing that he did too in the shows that was really fun is that he had a parasail. I don't know if some of you remember that parasail, but I remember one halftime I got to go up in that thing, and that was fun. Just that rope taking off, and also you're just getting pulled up, and you can see everything from up in the sky on that parasail. So Wayne did a good job, and it was neat. It was really neat to see that. Hit the slide. Here's one of the ad books from way back when in 1977. You can see there was 3 ski shows that they had that summer. Prior to this, when I talked to Jerry Murphy, the treasurer, he said that they only did maybe 1 or 2 shows a year during those first couple of years. Then as you get into 77 and beyond, then there's 3 shows and then more from there. But I'll hit the slide. So this is kind of the fun part of the presentation. So you kind of know what's happened to this point. So now coming into my era, which was in the mid 80s of the water ski team, it is so cool to see how our team has grown from, say, 1985 up until now, 2019. And I put together some cool slides. You're going to love this. And some of you in this room, I just, a couple of people I talked to, they'll remember some of the early days. So boats for, this goes back as early as the late 70s and early 80s. Go ahead and hit the next picture. That thing right there. So, single hydrodyne. Marianne, you probably remember that, huh? One of our boat drivers from way back in the day. Single hydrodyne, 200 horsepower on that thing. That's all we had. And I think we used your inboard boats occasionally to help out, whether it was driving or in Bud with pickup. That's it. So you can imagine in the ski show with one boat, you go around and one skier lets off, and the boat's got to go around, pick up the next skier. So the shows didn't have a whole lot to them. That'd be a nightmare for you, right, Dan, with our show director back there with only one boat. Now, in 2019, here's what we've come to. So now we've got 4 towboats alone, and the one in the top left's got triple engines on it, triple 150s, right? And then we've got a boat that's twin engines with 225s, another twin engine boat with, that one's got 150s on it. And then we've got a inboard ski boat as well, plus a pickup boat. So you can see that over the years, it's grown from one single boat all the way to 4 boats over the years. Axe size, another thing that has grown dramatically since the first days. And so here's back in the early days, the upper left, that's a pyramid, so 3 guys on the bottom, 2 girls on top. Not real big, that's a late 70s pick. The top right, your ballet line, which is girls that ski around on one ski. Dan might get into talking a little bit about each act, but so we had about 5, 6 girls. That was from my era, the upper right-hand corner, the early 90s. And then down on the bottom, barefoot water skiing, where you're skiing on no skis. A barefoot line might have consisted of 3 or so barefooters behind one boat. Now, here we are, 2019, and you can see some significant changes. So you look at the left, 24 people behind one boat in a pyramid. The upper right, the girls in the ballet, and I think this one has about 15 or so. But we did at one point, probably 7, 8 years ago, I get lost in all the years back, but we had 21 girls on that ballet line. So that was huge. And then down below the barefooting, we're up to about 8 to 10 that we have done at one point. So huge differences in the axe size. And hold it there for a second. I don't have a slide for this, but I just wanted to point out as far as the gear goes. So when I first joined, this thing here, which is a relic, of course, so when you do pyramids, the skis that we used for pyramids were pretty much like this, maybe just a little bit wider on the back end. So if you can imagine a guy on the bottom of a pyramid holding a couple of girls up, and you only have this skinny ski to hold you, there's a lot of wobbliness. Now, we're skiing on skis for our pyramids that look like this. So you look at the difference in the width on these, and you can tell, boy, how much easier is it here than it was here. So the equipment certainly has changed, and the ropes and the handles and all that over the years. Costumes. Okay, so go ahead and hit the next one. Costumes back in the day were maybe as minimal as no real costume at all. You just wore your swimsuit and that was it. That's all you had on, very minimal. I remember back, in the late 80s, early 90s, we would have t-shirts. And for each act, there would be a different color t-shirt. And Sue, you probably remember, that might even went early into the mid to late 90s, where we would just have a different color t-shirt for each act. And we had to just change it out, go to the next act, change it out, and that was it. Now, if you look at what we're at, now you look at these costumes, we gotta look at the girls, they're in full body costumes, bright, sparkly, all kind of really nice. And us guys, we've got our own wetsuits now with the chain skier name on the back. We've got these nice shirts that fit under there, and it just the presentation is really, really changed and grown over the years, and the costuming. Go ahead. The jump. Okay, so back in the day, go ahead and flip it. Back in the day, this was our jump. I remember that. This jump here, and if you look real closely, you'll see there's a little platform there. So the way let me back up. A jump, in order to go over it, we usually wax the jump, which allows us to go up and off nice and easy. Okay, so we used to wax that jump. I remember all the days with Wayne Colton on that jump on the cold days, taking beeswax and just melting that thing. In fact, we did this just the last couple years. So it has to be waxed. So if it's waxed, that means that you have to throw water on it. Otherwise, you're going to stick on that thing when you go over it. So I remember the days of standing on this platform here with a bucket of water, and I would scoop up the water, pour it down over the ramp like that, And as the skier would come, you like scoop as quick as you can, and then off they go. Scoop up some more water, off they go on the ramp. So that was quite archaic back in the day. Now go ahead and flip over to what we've got now. Much nicer. And the other nice thing about this is that you can't really see it from here, but there's a battery in there with the solar power that charges the battery. And it's got a piece of conduit on the top with all these holes poked into it, and it waters itself. You just flip a switch. Much easier now. So that is advanced. The size of the jump is still the same. It's still 14 wide, 21 long, and about 6 feet high. Everything's the same there. But the looks, the sides, the way it's watered has really changed. Go ahead. Okay, so we got to practice. So the Veterans Home has been kind enough to allow us not only to use their main site for our shows, but also for our practices. And over the years, the dock that we practice on has changed. So here's what it was back in 1991, and there I am on the right, so this truly is back in the day. Andy Anderson, a boat driver at the time. That's our practice dock. You can see not too big, is it? Pretty small. It couldn't fit a lot on there, but heck, what did I just say? We didn't have a lot of skiers, a lot of big acts at the time. Now, look at our dock. Much bigger. 3 times the size, maybe more. 2 boat lifts there where we can store our boats, and we could fit that one pyramid that had 24 people in it. That fits, I think that one fits on this dock. I think we squeeze ourselves in on this dock. So it's amazing how that has changed. Go ahead. But really, that's the fun of the skiing part of it and how that has changed. But really, the Chain Skiers goes much beyond the skiing aspect of it. And anyone who's ever been a part of the Chain Skiers knows this. There's so much more to what it's about. Friendships. Lots of friendships are made with the Chain Skiers. Kids that we come back every year. We see them every year. They come back to watch the shows. Every year, we get together and hang out with them. Maybe it's going to the wheelhouse or the harbor with them. Go ahead. These 3 guys here, one of which was in the room right now. Again, Gary, yeah, you're in there too. So these guys here, there's something you got to say about these guys. They've been driving the boat forever, and they're all still driving the boats for us. But one thing, their kids aren't in it anymore. How long has Jimmy been out?
A long time.
Long time. And Lisa and them, yeah, they've been out a long time. Yet they're still driving. It just shows the friendships and the family relationships that we gather with the team. Go ahead. And then just the fun of just the kids hanging out, doing life together. What better could it be to just hang out with friends on a nice hot sunny day and all you do is go water skiing? Go ahead. More friends, having fun together at our awards banquet. A couple of friends from way back when. Caitlin Meehan on the left. Caitlin from the harbor, and Lindsay Box, who they both spent many years in the ski team. We get to see them still pretty regularly. They come back and we hang out, and it's just really neat. Friendships that have lasted 20, 25 plus years. But then beyond the friendships, there's other things that Chain Skiers has brought. Life skills. You look at this, that's the finishing of a dance that we did at one time. Just like Bear had mentioned. Even us guys, we got to dance, and we perform in front of people. It's not just skiing, but it's performing in front of people. It requires maybe words that we have to say. It requires being able to communicate with large crowds of people, doing things, knowing where you've got to be for one act and then into the next act. There's life skills that have been built in to the Chain Skiers as they've gone. We've had kids like the one gal. Rebecca Marcus, she's now a brain surgeon. I think she's living in Texas. She's a brain surgeon. A couple of them went on to be leaders in their sales teams and their businesses. Go ahead and click the next one. These guys here, so leadership skills, another thing that you gain in the Chain Skiers, just because of what you've got to do, the responsibilities that you have, you gain those leadership skills. Oftentimes there might be act captains where you are in charge. Hey, your act's got to get there. They've got to practice. They've got to know what skis, what ropes to use, when to go out. And you as an act captain have to have that act ready to go. Here's some examples of some of the kids who went on to be presidents of their collegiate water ski teams once they went beyond the Chain Skiers. So definitely leadership skills are built in the chain skiers. And then there's Sue, our Sue, teamwork, another thing. Hard work, doing some of the things that aren't necessarily fun or aren't the glamorous parts, but pulling in ropes off the dock. There's thousands of feet of rope that go out on any given ski show night. They've all got to be pulled in, they've all got to be recoiled. Thankfully, a lot of the adults do that, but there are kids that jump in. They do that, they understand the responsibility of teamwork. Oh, and this one here, this is hop docks. Okay, so the hop docks are, it's the ballet line. So in order to be in a ballet line, you need to learn how to be on one ski and to basically step off the dock and ski away. I remember some of the years back where some of the boat drivers, they would just have these girls just go over and over and over and learn how to do it so that they can get it and that so they can be in the ballet line. It was just that tenacity just to keep going, that persistence to hang in there. And I mean, just time, and they go off and fall. They go off and fall. And I remember, Tom and Andy Anderson and Jeremy. Did I see Jeremy in here? Did he leave? Jeremy was a boat driver as well. They would just come back to the dock. All right, girl, get back on and go and go and go. But they learned persistence throughout it. Next picture. And then swivel skiing. Here's our very own Sam. One thing that I have not done, because it's a girl's thing, is I've never done swivel skiing. I think I've done it once, but I've tried everything else, but I've never really done swivel skiing. And what I do know about swivel skiing is very difficult. Now, Olivia, you're here, and you guys know it takes hours and hours and hours of work just to get to that point in doing that. But they go out there and they're persistent, and they work at it and work at it and work at it, and the skills that they develop in the chain skiers are going to get carried on into their life as that persistence goes on. And then a lifetime of memories. Oh boy, I tell you what, the state tournament, any one of us who've been to the show ski tournament in Wisconsin Rapids, which is the third week of July, it is a blast because probably 95% of our team all camps out at Southwood County Park, and we camp in all the campsites we booked that are all together. So we just enjoy, we have like meals together, breakfasts and lunches and dinners together where we all hang out and we all have lots of fun. Look at that next one. Last year we introduced the, I call it Hammockville. We had probably close to 20 hammocks in the trees. It's just a great time for us all to hang out together and have fun, and so many of the team members do it, and we just hang out together for 4 days, from Thursday through Sunday night, and because we only ski one time during the whole skate tournament, so the rest of the time we're out having fun at the campground with each other, hanging out in hammocks, playing coop, playing cornhole, and all the fun stuff together. And then one of my favorite memories of chain skiers, especially since we started doing this in the last few years, is that the night after we have our ski show, it's always recorded. Thad Markham, our past president, brings out the screen and the projector, and we watch our ski show from the state tournament. And I tell you what, the whole team's there. Rich is making popcorn, and it is just a fun time for us all to hang out and watch the ski shows together, and it's just fun. It's just fun. And then there's some memories of those who have gone, who passed. Barry Hine, right there, he was a member for a number of years. Barry Hine was on the team for probably 10 to 12 years, maybe a little bit more. But this was a guy who just loved the ski team. At this picture, he's probably about 60 years old, and he's still barefoot water skiing. He would help us out. I mean, he just loved the kids, just absolutely loved the kids. He lived up north of the Berg, and he had in the back of his property, he had a lake back there. It wasn't his own lake, but it was a lake that just hardly anyone could get to. And I remember years of going out to that lake and water skiing. No one was on the lake because there's no one lived there, so it was just us. And there were times we brought the whole team out to practice pyramids on this little 50-acre lake. But he did that. He just helped the kids out, and there's an award in his name that's given out each year. I think it's the mentorship award, isn't it? Yeah, because he just would teach the kids and just help them out whenever he could. Just a great guy. Memories of him. And then, then finally just the family. That's my family. That was our Christmas picture from this last year. And you know, where else could you be on a Saturday night with your entire family hanging out together? All the families just on Saturday nights enjoying each other, just a lot of fun. We just memories to be made. And then, you know, then finally, of course, without the Veterans Home, we would not be able to do this. So we are very thankful for the folks at the Wisconsin Veterans Home to give us that site that we can use every Saturday night. It's just such a joy to be out there and to be able to use that. And then over the years, we've had some of the vets, and that was Lawrence. Yep, Lawrence. And every few years we get this different vet that always comes down every ski show, and they'll shake our hands or they'll give out candy to the kids, and they're just a blast. They just love it. I think they love it as much as we do, getting to know us and stuff. But that was Lawrence. I remember him. He'd come to every show. Every show he was there. So. Thanks so much. You know, I hope that you learned a little bit about the history of the chain skiers. It's been fun. You know, it's been all these years, 30 plus years on the team. Learned a lot of stuff, and there's probably so many more stories I could tell, but I probably went longer than I should already. But I mean, just some fun times. So with that, I'm supposed to say just a little. There's a sign up in the back there if you're an alumni of the Chain Skier. If you want to sign up your name to get any information about the club, if we ever have an alumni show or things like that, go ahead and put your name down. It's in the back over there. With that, though, I'm going to introduce our safety director, Rich Maloney. She's going to come and talk to you guys a little bit about what safety concerns we have and all that good stuff. So, thank you.
Well, that was hard to follow that. But I'm Rich Maloney. I've been with the club for about 13 years, and I came a little different, well, same way as Tim did. Came to learn to ski, but I came later in life. I was about 34 years old when I started. Let's see. Yep. My whole family's involved now. A few years later, my family joined, and now here I am. I'm on the board 13 years later as a safety director. Never thought I'd hold up to this position, but I care about the safety of our skiers on and off the water. And let's see, I also do, what I do on the club here is I do make the ropes, and I do take care of the equipment. Try to make sure all our drivers are certified for show skiing, and our club here is about having fun, but safety is as well. Everything from the ropes to drivers to skiers. And I can touch a little bit about the above, like our drivers. Our drivers need to be certified in show skiing. They take an online test through USA Water Ski, and then they get tested on the water, make sure they can pull out certain acts, and then they're certified. There's 3 different certifications a boat driver can have. Is like a Class A would be a single motor or an inboard. Class B would be 2 motors, and then a Class C would be 3 motors. We also try it for our spotters. Going on as a boat driver, there's a lot of things you got to be aware of when you're on the water. People in the water, other boaters, your skiers behind you that you're pulling. Let's see. And of course, with the driver comes your spotter. Our spotter is a trained spotter to be pulling the pin. Keeps in communication of what's going on behind the boat, because the boat driver's got to pay attention to what's going on in the water. And the spotter will also communicate with the driver if the skier has fallen. A little bit more about for the skier wise, safety for the skier. We do make them wear, I brought them up here, it is for the girls, they give them a flow keeps them floating on the water. We require it as a team. And then for the guys, we wear a barefoot suit. So if anybody falls, they're floating on water. That way they're not struggling in the water. Some skiers can't swim, but that's why they have a vest to help them. We also make, it's not mandatory, it's not a regulation through the state or regulation for USA Water Ski, but our jumpers. We make our jumpers, all our jumpers wear a helmet going over that jump. You never know what can happen. Let's see. We have some ropes here. Our ropes are designed that in a V. If you ever notice a rope, it should be designed with a V. That way, if they're bouncing around in the water, or just so happens you toss a rope, it doesn't go over their head. That's how those are designed. The girls, they have a braid. Those girls are climbing on top. You don't want a nice big old handle falling from 3 or 4 tiers up, falling on your base person. Plus, it's a little lighter. And then communication. There's a lot of communication going on in the water between the skier and the driver. If a skier decides, well, not decides, but if a skier falls, there's a lot of hand signals that need to go on. Like if a skier falls and they're okay, they wave at the boat driver and say, that tells the boat driver and the spotter that they're okay. They throw an X over their head that there's a serious injury and everything's got to stop, either a show or as a practice. You stop and we'll help the skier. Yep, got for like our swivel ski personnel or doing a tow hold. A girl or a guy could be in the tow hold, have this over their foot, you'd be skiing away, and if they decide to fall, we have a quick release that the spotter will pull. Spotter will pull, and your rope's attached in here, and then this rope releases. That way they're not drugged by the boat. That's for swivel and ballet line. And also, well, yeah, strap also. Strap, you have a belt, and you're only connected by this belt, which goes around your waist. And then, I'm assuming we'll get a little performance here. But if they fall, if the base guy falls, then they pull on that quick release, and then everybody's not pulled by the water, pulled by the rope. Pretty much, I think that's it. We have, well, each boat is equipped with ice packs and Band-Aids and things like that to, if someone is injured, we have a first aid kit. But as a chain skier, you know, fun is the importance, but safety is also. So I think that's all I have. So,
Next up, we're gonna have Dan W. as our show director.
Is the video not gonna happen?
What's that?
Video first?
Oh,
I think we had a short video first.
Video.
Okay, so this is a video I
Sorry.
put together. A lot of the shots in here are aerial images. A lot of our practices, there's some footage of our ski shows there. So now you all kind of hear kind of what we do as a ski show. Now we'll be able to put it to picture and live video here. So I'll get it rolling.
That's the state site, the state ski show site right there.
I didn't go.
We're gonna move the table out of the way now and so that we can do a little demonstrations afterwards.
I've never been to one. My husband and his friend always took our boys to a lot of stuff. I have her now, so I'm doing a lot of things. I'm enjoying my life.
All right, well, while they're getting set there, my name is Dan Walksmith. I am the show director for the team. This is my 5th season, I think, going in. I've been skiing for 4 years. Grew up on Long Lake, south of here, on Sheriff County. I never even knew the chain skiers existed until I was in my 30s, and otherwise I'd have been up there every single, because that's all I did, was ski down just 10 miles away. And Tim's a good friend of mine. They lost a bunch of barefooters one year, and they invited me to come ski with them, and since then I've been skiing. I've got a freshman in college, my daughter here, they've been skiing on the team since 4 years old. So it's something that we just enjoy doing as a family. The show director, typically, like Tim said, in Wisconsin, it's the show ski capital of the country. There's 30-some teams. Every team will have some version of a show director. And that person is in charge of the show for that year. It looks a little different on a lot of teams. Some teams will have co-show directors. Some will do a show committee within a show director. Some show directors want all of the burden and responsibility, and they handle every single thing that comes with the show. And that means boats, costumes, dances, land acts, theme, and skiing. Okay, it's a big undertaking, but it's something I enjoy to do. Here at the Chain Skiers, when I came in, it was really nice because the board has always been very supportive, and they had in place a creative director already, her name, Amy Markham. And she is a state champion dance coach, and she's very creative. So it worked out really well because she would handle the theme and the costumes and the dances and the music, all the stuff that I don't want nothing to do with. And I was in charge of whatever you see on the water and handling the team and leading the team. And it worked really well for us. So, and we had great success. We really built something special. This year now, she's kind of stepped that down. So I went to the board and I said, a couple of teams are doing like what's called a creative team. And so we put together a creative team of 3 ladies. Jill's here. Where is she? Did she leave? Oh, yeah, there's Jill. So, and Renee is part of it, and Corinne's not here. So what's nice about the creative team is you can do this over winter, so they can kind of plan and determine what does our show want to be this year. So our theme coming up this year, it's called Under the Ski, which is like under the sea. So it's basically what kind of things do you see on the bottom of the ocean. Now I have no idea what they came up with. It could be treasure chests, it could be sunken ships, it could be starfish. You know, I don't know, because I've given them, and I've met with them a few times. They kind of work under the show director, and then you kind of put the whole thing together. Because as Tim had said, when someone says, hey, let's go watch the Chain Skiers, what do you think of? Water skiing, right? It's really not. It's a show. It's an overall show, and what's important is you want the flow to go well with the show. It's land acts, it's dances, it's costumes, it's makeup, it's boat driving patterns, it's working on the dock, and everything that builds around that entire show. The skiing's actually, you know, maybe half of it, you know, and then the rest is the rest of it. For me, it's just a joy to do it. I love working with the kids. It's really for me about building a team, and we have a very young team, and I really want the kids to understand what it means to be a teammate, a team member. Always be positive, be encouraging, be uplifting. And sometimes when you're dealing with, you know, 60, 70 people on a team, you know, there's conflict that can arise, and that's something that, you know, I as a show director have to deal with. I always have the backing of the board of directors, which is really nice, and they help me through some tough issues, as anyone who's been part of a big organization would know. So it's all about being a teammate, and also we really wanted to stress, especially this year, that it's about family, like Tim had said. If someone comes up, a new member, and says, hey, we want to sign our small child up to ski, well, that would be great, but guess what? We want you also. And you don't have to ski, there's lots to do. So we need help with costumes, with sound, with concessions, with ropes, with dock, with land acts, with being announcer, our drive crew alone, you know, a driver and spotter in every boat. So it requires, it's a big deal to put a ski show on. And if we don't have that help, that supporting staff, you know, you can really see how a board member or myself or someone who's really into it, you can get burned out real easy because of the time they're putting in. So it's one thing that I'm really kind of proud of myself just for really trying to do is really trying to know and learn my skiers. I love just building relationships with them. You know, whether it's just the small little kid that comes up every time they see me and gives me a hug, or a big burly guy that's just all excited about the big pyramid they just did, and you know he'll give me a hug too. You know, and I mean I'll have ballet line girls come up to me bawling their eyes out and pulling aside. Okay, what's going on? You know, and then I'll have a swivel skier come up to me that just made the greatest move in the world, and they're so happy. And I'll have people that will say, hey, would you write me a letter of recommendation for something, or can I use you on a job application? So it's really a joy for me to really learn and build relationships with the skiers. Try to also know what their limitations are, you know, because some of our skiers will see something at the state tournament that, you know, a team of, you know, 200 people can do, And they, well, we can do that. And I'm like, well, let's kind of focus on this first, and we'll work our way up to that. But it goes the other way too. If I see a skier that's, you know, hey, I've got confidence in you. I know you can step up from here. I want to push them to that level, but not beyond. You know, we want the flow to be really good in the show. So again, like I say, it's all about show. We practice 3 nights a week, and then we have a ski show every Saturday. So my responsibility is Saturday morning, I need to know everyone who's going to be there. And then what I will do is I will write up a show board, which looks something like this. This was from last year. I just found it in the basement, so I brought it over here for it. I have 2 of these. So this is half of the ski acts. Typically, there's 13 ski acts in a show that you can get scored upon at the state tournament, which we'll talk about. So that show board will be there when it shows up, and it's the skier's responsibility to come down and see how many acts they're in. Some skiers are in 1 act, some skiers are in as many as 7 acts. So then the girls, for instance, if you're in several acts, you need to go get every costume that you need, figure out how you're going to change into that costume to get to your next act. So it can be a challenge. The challenging aspect for me as a show director is if I have a skier that's maybe in 7 acts, and this boat's coming through and drops them over here, now I need them over here. Okay, how do I do that? Boat patterns. Okay, I need a boat that's going to. When I took over, I kind of changed things up a little bit from taking boats off the show dock all the time, and I've got boats coming from every different direction. So if I need a boat over to this side, I don't want him just to drive over there in front of everybody, not pulling a skier. I have to make sure that act before he's set up to drop his skier this way, so now that boat's there when the skier is going to end up over there, so he can come back through the next time. So it's very challenging, especially with 4 boats and the skiers that we have, to do that. But that's what kind of makes the flow of the show go. So what I typically do is I will have a very large act, you know, like let's just say the pre-built act, and it will be followed by a variety act that only uses a few skiers. Or if you look at our big act, my goal is to get I can get almost every single skier on the water in our big act, maybe just a couple that aren't skiing. And then I just have some swivelers that go, because that'll help set up the next ending pyramid. So it's always a big act and a small act and a big act and a small act to help keep the flow going. And then I'll say, okay, I'm having a little trouble here, and that's when I'll go to the creative team. I'll meet with them, and I'll say, I need some time here. Okay, we have to let the water calm for our barefooters, or I have to get this skier over to here. So that's when they'll bring out a land act. And a land act will be something, you know, so for instance, it's under the sea, so maybe they'll have a bunch of little kids come out dressed as starfish and they'll do a dance. And that goes with the show. And then that gives me time to get the next boat or the next skier where they need to be for the show to continue on.
Or a penguin might come out.
Yep, you just never know.
Or a mermaid.
So,
A mermaid.
yep,
A mermaid.
yep. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the costumes are, but I'm sure they're going to be great this year. So, a lot of the highlights that we have, our 4th of July show is always a real big highlight for us and the skiers. It's just really cool when you show up at the, you know, number 1, you're at the Veterans Home, so how cool is that? And, you know, they do the national anthem, and I try to get all these little skiers, they get, right up, you guys, get up on a dock, and they'll put their hands over our heart, and then the boats come driving through, and they're all holding up big American flags as we play the national anthem. So it's really a cool moment. And then for whatever reason, I like to think that I'm a good motivator, but anyway, our guys step up, and they ski like the best show, at least since I've been show director. The 4th of July shows have been outstanding. And the crowds are just huge. I mean, last year was just such a massive crowd, and the skiers just stepped up and skied an amazing show. And, you know, every year it's different. You know, I'm on the phone right now. I mean, every week I say, hey, you skiing this year? I want to find out who's coming, who's going. So this year we're actually losing, you know, quite a few, probably a good handful of pretty good skiers that have been there a long time. So we kind of rebuild and have some people step up, you know. So the 4th of July is a big one. And then, as Tim had mentioned, you kind of saw the state ski show. That's really a highlight too for the whole team, because we do state like no other team does it, I think. I mean, we have team meals and team breakfasts and, you know, team meetings, and everybody just hangs together and has a good time. And you know, we have a practice. We usually have one practice the week before, which usually doesn't go so well. But then as soon as we get there and we ski for the state tournament, everybody steps up and we do really great. Again, you have 13 ski acts that you're judged on, so I have to submit all this paperwork to the judges. The judges, it's typically like judging a dance or ice skating. You know, it's all subjective to what the judge thinks. So you're judged on the difficulty of what your skiing is, but the skiing is only a small part of it. So if we're a smaller team that maybe can't do as many difficult things on the water as a team a little bigger than us that's in the same division, there's 3 divisions, Division 3, 2, and 1. We can make up for that because you're judged on the overall show, on comedy, on costumes, on the flow of the show. I've sat through some ski shows where just the announcer is out there, and if people fall out there, and you feel so sorry for that poor guy. And I can just think of the judges up there, trying to stay awake watching this. So we really, go the extra mile to make sure that the show flows really well. And that comes with a lot of the announcing and the land acts that we do and the costumes that we put together. And I tell the skiers too, I said, a big killer on flow is falls out there. Because if you have a big ballet line that falls, think how much time it takes to get those girls out of the water. So we'll scale it back a little bit to what we know we can do. Now you're still going to have falls. Everybody understands that we're going to fall. But I won't have someone going over the jump and doing a helicopter that's never landed one in practice. So if you can make it 8 out of 10 times, yeah, let's put it in. So and that just keeps the flow going. You have 1 hour. Ski shows are 1 hour. So to give you a little general idea of what it looks like, there's 3 bays. Okay, so 3 teams can be up on the top of the hill with all their equipment back and ready to go. Okay, so there's a team on the water skiing, there's a team ready to go, and there's a team that's kind of in the hole. All right, so if we're waiting ready to go as this team's going, we get our trailer backed in, we get as much stuff unloaded, and there's a rope up here. Okay, we can't go beyond the rope. So as soon as the other ski team clears, they give us the okay, they drop the rope. We have 20 minutes to set up our show. So we usually have, we have to get our skiers where they have to go. We have a big banner, we have our scenery, do a mic check, get our sound going. Okay, as soon as that 20 minutes up, they sound the horn and our ski show begins. And they give you a horn at 5 minutes. Okay, so if you're 5 minutes, that's all the time you have left. You better be pretty close to getting your ending pyramid out of the water, because if the horn blows and it comes through course on a tight line, still pulling skiers, it doesn't count. So you really want to keep that flow going. And then at the end, we always have a dance. And then typically when you're a really good team, it's amazing because the announcer will say, "Thank you," and all of a sudden the horn goes off. It's like, that's pretty good, when you can time it like that. And so we've been pretty good. We've had a few mishaps. We've had some time left over where we would have a fall on something that was kind of big, and we'd have time to do it again. So that takes a lot of organization. And again, we have tons of help there because I've got people all over on different docks. And you know what? We've had a lot of success. We've got state champions. We were state champions in pyramids. We were state champions. Where's Jill? Jill's my named dock person, so dock lady. She's a state champion for 4 years, 5 years, since I've been show directing. She's been a state champion. Amy did announcing for a few years, and she won the state champion. We won comedy. Our men's dance did a goofy dance to the song Santa Baby. And they were the state champs in comedy that year. They'll watch for safety. You'll get deductions on safety. They'll watch your boat drivers. You get judged in your boat driving and your pickup boats. So my goal is to like I say, get my boats where they need to be during that state show. You got several docks you can take off from. You don't want a ghost boat to just come driving through because you need them over there because that's where your skier is. So you have to lay that all out, design where these guys are going to end up and where your skiers are going to be to keep that flow going. We've won pickup boat driving a couple of years, state champs also. So we've done really well. One of the biggest awards that I shoot for our team year after year is called showmanship. And what showmanship is basically, in a nutshell, it's a judge looking down and saying, "Hey, now that's a team. Those guys are teammates. They're encouraging everybody. They're smiling. If they fall, they get up and they smile and they wave. They don't slap the water or be mad because they fell." And when my team wins showmanship, it makes me feel like I'm doing my job. Okay, really creating an environment where kids can enjoy each other and have fun. So that's a big award that they win. So bottom line, it's about being a ski show. It's about the flow, and it's a lot of time. It's a great time at the state tournament. And then after the state tournament, we only have 2 more shows usually. I think this year we might have 3 shows after, but sometimes it's, the kids kind of lose a little bit of interest, and I kind of got a piece you know, parts in there and get new people in, and so the after-state shows can be a little bit more challenging also. Again, we have a great board. The board has been very supportive to me over the years. We have a lot of new members in the board this year, you know, president, vice president, secretary. So they've been really supportive of me. And, you know, without that, I don't know that I would want to do this job without having full support of the board. So the philosophy is always the same year after year: being positive, being encouraging, and being grateful. You know, showing gratitude for people who help and step up and help. And really, that starts at the top. It starts with the president, works way, it's down to me and the rest of the board. And you'd be surprised at how everybody falls in line and takes that same momentum out. So. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what I do as a show director. I've got a couple of skiers that are just going to come up and just going to give you just a brief 1-minute testimony of what the chain skiers have meant to them. So where's Noah?
Yeah, so this will be my 12th year on the ski team. I'm only going to be 18 this summer. I've been kind of born into the team. My parents have been on it ever since I've been born, so I've always been a part of the team and helping with the shows and watching the shows for all this time. And you know, some of my best friends I've met on the chain skier team. You know, it's a great way to spend my summers. Where better to spend than on the beautiful chain of lakes with friends and family. So it's just a great organization. A lot of team camaraderie. We do events outside like rock fries and the duck race. So there's a lot of community involvement as well, which is just fantastic. And you know, a lot of my best memories have come out of the chain skiers. So I'm just happy to be a part of such a wonderful team.
And my daughter Olivia, she was skiing at age 4. So.
Alright, so I've been a part of the chain skiers obviously pretty much my whole life. The Lanky family kind of roped us into it, and I've just grown up with it. Noah and I are the same age and just have done everything growing up together, so that's been really fun. And I'm really into the swivel skiing aspect of it, which has been quite the ride and very challenging thing, but my dad has been very persistent in helping me with it every single summer, every year, during the winter too, practicing it. So he's been a big help in that, and we have bonded a lot more through it. It's been fun too, because we both just loved it so much this whole time. And I don't know, this is my 13th summer doing it, and I'm really excited to do it again, so, yeah.
From a father aspect, I've got my son is a freshman in South Carolina, and he's been skiing. Now, for the young men to get into the main ski show, it's a little bit more challenging than the young girls because they're up here. So Olivia at age 4 was in the main show, where Nathan was doing land axe until he was big enough to base a pyramid, to do a trick over the jump, to barefoot. So that takes time for the guys to get into the main show, and they kind of understand that, where the girls are kind of in right away. But so he's going to come back again, and he'll be part of the team this year. It'll be sad when he gets an internship somewhere else he's going to be, which is going to be coming soon. I see some parents here, and all of a sudden they're gone, and it'll be sad for me, when they leave as a dad, so because this has been such a big part of us. Like I said, Olivia and I just go to every single practice together, and it's just been really good for our family. So we got a couple of quick demonstrations we're going to do here. So Sam, I'm going to let you put Olivia's ski on over there. Olivia, why don't you grab your toe hold rope? And Sam's going to show you, this is a swivel ski. So the binding on the ski turns. Now, when I started show directing, we didn't have any swivel. Swivel is a huge part of show ski. You should see what some of these Division I ladies do. It's unbelievable how much work. I know how hard it is because I pull my daughter, and she does a trick and falls. It's very, very hard. So it's amazing what they can do. But anyway, my first year, I had 2 girls doing toe turns. And I think last year's state tournament, I had 9 girls and a toe turn line, along with girls doing overhead 360s and hand turns. So our drivers, I'm not sure if they love me or hate me, because when you pull for swivel, you go straight ahead 13 miles an hour, and that's it. All right? So it's about the most boring thing you can do. So, but that's how much I've really pushed hard to get that in part of our show. So we want to demonstrate, where's that quick release? I've had back surgery and I've got ligaments torn in my knee. That's what 40 years of skiing will do to you. So, but we're going to demonstrate how this will work. So this part here hooks to the boat, which will go on this quick release like Rich had shown. So that will hook here, this hook right here. Okay, so Olivia's going to be the boat. Okay, this is hooked to the boat. Sam, you're going to go like a toe hold, if you can balance there. And then the spotter holds right here. Okay? So right now, she's hooked. Okay? So what do you think would happen if she fell? What would happen if we didn't have the quick release? When we've had girls, if the spotter pulls a little late, I've been there. I've pulled a little late on someone. And no one feels worse than the spotter. Okay? Because people get hurt. All right? She could pull a lot of muscles in her leg because they're going to get dragged. So you watch her, and she's going to go and do her turn, and if you see her fall, or even start to fall, then boom, you pull this, and her whole rope releases in, and then immediately her responsibility as a skier is to get that rope and pull it in quick, because if another boat comes by and grabs that 75-foot rope, then she becomes part of that boat also. Okay? So that's that example. Everybody can see how the swivel ski is. There's so many different moves that you can do on that ski. It's just, you know, it's a big part of show skiing, and I'm glad my daughter's into it, and Sam's another one of our swivelers, and we've got little girls. Sarah, she's in the toe turn line already, and so it's a big part of it. Bear, why don't you come up, or someone, or TL, why don't you come up and show us that strap belt? And let's do the same thing on that. So we'll demonstrate the strap and the safety of it, and then we actually have some skiers that will do a couple of moves. So, grab that whole strap.
So with the harness on, then that gives me the opportunity to take and do moves with a girl over my head. So I don't,
Which we'll show you.
hands-free.
Bear's going to show you some moves
Yep.
with his daughter. So again, now this, the important thing about this one is this, you have to be ready right off the dock. Whereas with a toe turn girl, you don't have to be ready until she actually puts it in her foot or you know, hooks herself to it somehow. But right off the dock, okay, because a lot of falls, here, let me hear the boat, a lot of falls happen off the dock, believe it or not. So right off the get-go, you got to be watching, because if you fall, this is where I was late a couple of times, and that guy goes down, I mean, imagine getting dragged. Yeah, imagine getting dragged.
I can't grab that fast enough to unhook this, so I can't do that when I'm falling down, so I rely on the boat driver to pull that pin, which releases this, and then I just fall into the water.
And then again, they got to get that rope in. Now we have some big acts. Our big act has, if you see this act right here, this is probably our biggest act. That's a big arrow of trios, which is two base guys with a girl going off on staggered ropes with straps and an arrow. So it's very, I pull pins with two hands in that, and it's scary for me because I have to watch 3 trios couples going off the dock staggered. And that's where one time someone fell so fast, you know, as fast as I could react, I pulled, and they still got dragged a little bit. So it's very important. We train our spotters. It's really serious. We don't want you talking and discussing things. Your job is to watch the skiers. So, but that's some of the safety things that we do. So let's show you what a strap couple would look like. So Bear and Sarah. They're kind of a star strap couple. So Bear would have a strap belt on. And we would have, in our strap act, we have 2 couples that go, and then we put trios in there for our strap act.
See your hand up.
Well, we're gonna have
Both Bear and Sarah and TL and Sam have competed last year at state. What was it, fifth, fourth, third, sixth? I don't remember. But they're climbing the ladder. They're doing really well. So every year they do a little, they go up a little higher. So they complete, because at the state tournament, the first 2 days is individual things, like strap, jump, swivel is one. I think we might have one of our swivel girls competing this year. But that's just a big part. We get a lot of people come to support them and watch. Noah, come on up with Savannah. And Daniel, can you hold one base rope? And we'll show you what a conventional line would look like. So again, this is part of our big act. So this bottom row of guys here, they all go off together. So these are all separate boats. So I'll have the toe turn line go through, followed by the staggered swivel line, followed by this big arrow, and then the conventional line goes off. So there's a 4-boat pattern that goes through the show site. So why don't you guys show like a back drape and a front angel. Okay, so off the dock, they'll go off on the shoulders just like this. And as soon as they go around and they come through the show course, their first move is called a back drape. Are you smiling? You better be smiling. Okay. We smile in practice, okay? Otherwise you are in big trouble. Everybody needs to smile. Yep. Okay, and then the next move they'll come through, if they go again, they'll do what's called a front angel. And tell me if she's smiling. Right, and that goes with the guys too. So when Bear is holding up the center of a 4-high pyramid, okay, I don't care how heavy it is, you better be smiling. So that's. Now I think we got enough. We can show you a 3-2 pyramid, right? So let's get Savannah and Sarah. And what do you guys? Sam, you want to do it? And Noah? Noah, why don't you come up again? And Lydia. All right. So we don't have enough to go 3-high, and we actually go 4-high, if you saw on there. So we're gonna demonstrate.
Probably good.
Yeah, I'll go up.
Yeah, typically we don't hold the ropes like this, but we got enough guys that do it, so. Yeah, get them all the right length. You guys hold them where they need them, I'll hold them tight. Okay. So off the dock, why don't you guys climb up? So off the dock, every guy has a girl on him. Okay, no matter how, it depends what I'm going to be building. If it's 1 3-high pyramid, there would be 6 of us. Okay, and then once they get off the dock, this is how they climb. A little short on yours, Sarah.
So they come off the dock like this?
They'll come off the dock on the shoulders of the guys. Okay, and then they'll build when they get out in the water. They'll circle the jump and they'll build whatever it is they're going to build. Except if it's you saw our pre-builds go off. A pre-build, that's the most difficult act we do. It's the scariest act that we do. The pyramid is a 3-high pyramid pre-built on the dock, and then we send them off, and then they convert that to a 4-high. So that's a big act for us, and but it is kind of scary. So and then after they go through the show course and they're smiling, still smiling. Okay, after they go through the show course, then they'll bring it down. So a lot of times our falls are coming down, and you know we practice, so we get better at it. So now they'll come down, and like if this is my second tier here, they'll drop those onto the base guy's shoulders, and then they'll slide down. And how they bring them home is the girl will slide down and come in on the front of the guy's skis. Okay, so then they'll all just be in a row with a guy and a girl, and then that's how they'll come home. And that's our goal is to bring them all in, so they're not getting into a pickup boat. So the pickup boat is something you don't want to ever have to see, but we have to have it. All right. So with that, you guys have any questions? Yes.
I have 2.
All right.
And I've been wondering, now, what do you do if you have to wear eyeglasses? You know, like she has eyeglasses on. And then what's the other, my other one I've been dying for. What does it feel like when you water ski barefoot? I don't ski at all, nothing.
Well,
I'm lucky if I can walk standing up.
yeah, the eyeglasses one is a good question because my son has dealt with that, and he takes his glasses off, and finally we kind of figured out, you know, he can't see really well, and there's like a dock there, and so we took him to the eye doctor, and he puts contact lenses in. I think you can get subscription that'll stay on, you know, when you're skiing, but I think most people will just wear contacts when they
Even
ski.
if they're little like that?
Yeah, is that what you do? Contacts in? Yep, okay. As far as barefooting, I've been barefooting most of my life too. TL and where'd he go? Yep, he's an excellent barefooter. He's taught me, you know.
But what does it feel like?
Well, it's very
It's like
fast.
putting
You
a
gotta be-
garden hose to the bottom of your foot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
In fact, Bryant, I think one year,
Yeah.
when the season first starts, your feet are kind of, you know, from being all winter. You got to be careful when you go out there because you know, I've gone out there also I got black and blue bruises in the bottom of my feet because of the water. Well, Bryant, God bless his soul, what did he do? He burnt the hole in his heel
Yeah.
that like took the whole summer to heal. You know,
Right.
so I lost one of my. You know, I wasn't show director at the time, but he lost a good barefooter. You know, he still can do some things. But yeah, it was nasty.
Did some announcing.
Yeah, it's an announcing. Yeah. So yeah, but
You want calm water. You want calm water, but if it's just glass, it burns more than if it's got a little bit of a ruffle to it. That little bit of a ruffle helps put air bubbles in. But if it's glassy calm and you go a long time, you get black and blue marks in your
yeah,
right in the bottom.
digs
of your
right
foot.
in, it cuts right
Yeah.
in. And what I do on the show is, like for instance, the barefoot line that comes through, that's always the first act. And why is that? Because the water's calm. Okay, we have another barefoot act in the show, and typically we will have maybe the ballet line come in, they'll do a dance, then there'll be a long land act. We'll have something there to let the waters calm, or we have no chance, you know, of making it. So, and then they come through again in that. So, but yeah, TL's right. If it's glass, that's what you want for slalom skiing. Just dig in. But when you're barefooting, it can get so sharp that it'll dig in the insides of your feet. Whereas if you still want it smooth, but if there's just a little bit of a ripple there, you don't feel that so much. But again, you don't want to be going around the lake 5 times either. You know? So you know, some guys go as long as they can go. Other guys like to do tricks. You know, TL was backwards barefooting for a few years, and you know, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So yes.
What happens if they have to go to the bathroom really bad?
If they absolutely can't hold it, well, they probably have to go in the water. But otherwise, we're thankful we ski by the Veterans Home, and there are bathrooms there that you can run in to use.
It's a nice little outhouse.
Yeah, but that's
And there are a lot of bushes and trees.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Good question, bud.
Yes, sir.
How fast do the boats go when you're like going over a jump? How fast are you going?
Jumpers can vary. It can be as slow as what, like 15 to 18 miles an hour for new jumpers. And what do you do like helis at?
28 to 30 miles an hour.
Yeah. And then there's front flips, which I think are a little bit faster. Yeah. So every ski is a little bit different in the jump. Barefoot, you're typically around 40 miles an hour. You know, to step off the ski to keep it firm, the water firm. Strap doubles, I think, is about what, 18, 20?
16.
Oh, is it slower than that? Okay. Swivel is 12 to 13 miles an hour for swivel. So it's very slow and straight. You know, so everything's different. Pyramids, they may go 20 miles an hour on the big pyramids. So yeah, everything's a little bit different. Yep. And we've got a great drive crew. So we've got, you know, Tom's been driving. So we've got a triple driver, a double driver, and then Tom drives the inboard, and then our other double driver. So they do a great job. You know, they enjoy coming to practice. And for them, our practices aren't just for the skiers. You know, I always tell my skiers in the dock, hey, if you think the poles are getting hotter, don't complain about the pole, because who do you think wants to make the perfect pole every time? Right? The driver. You know, and they want us to come to them and say, you know what, maybe we could back off on that one a little bit, or let's try this, because you know they feel as bad as anybody when they don't make it. You know, especially like on a pre-built pyramid. If you pull that a little too hot, well, they come crashing down right there off the dock. You know, so they want to make the perfect pole too. So practice is just as important for them.
And this is what we spend most of our summer doing.
Yeah. You notice there are no eights in those loops. They are all nice round loops.
Yes, they're great.
That's
And
one
we
of the
have-
first skills you learn.
Yes, and our show, since I took over, our show has gotten very big, and there's a lot of ropers. Rich, every year I go, okay, Rich, this is what I got to have for this next year, and it's just the acts are getting bigger, and there's just a lot of ropes, miles and miles of ropes, and he's been so good that when we get to the state tournament, out of 13 acts, I think maybe I might have needed 1 4-high rope or something.
1 or 2.
Yeah, otherwise I have enough ropes to do the whole show without having to get another rope. you know, to go in. So the only time I'd have to get another rope back, let's just say our opening 4-high pyramid fell, and we have time at the end of the show, we'll wrestle around to get those ropes, find them, and get them back out there, and quick run that 4-high to get points for it. Otherwise, we have enough covered for the whole entire show. So, but it takes a lot of organization. You know, we take care of our equipment. They all go on racks and in sheds, and we have everything marked, what acts they're for. So even that alone is challenging, you know, to find the right ropes.
So how long is your season, like, at the King's Home?
At the Veterans Home, typically, we do shows, and typically it's about the first weekend in June, and then it ends up being the second weekend in August is when we stop. Now, depending on the calendar year, I've seen as few as 9 shows, including state, and I think as many as 12, depending on where the calendar falls. This year, I think, what do we got, 11? I think we have like 11, because there's 3 actually after state, because the first Saturday in August is pretty early. But the state tournament always is the 3rd weekend in July. So, and then we typically start the first weekend in June. So the first ski show is very challenging, because here, we have, I think one of those years, we had ice on the lake right up almost till May. So we're lucky if we had maybe a couple practices on water, plus kids are still in school, kids from out of town are still getting here. So to probably try to get this matched up and put a show together for the first show, it's kind of like a big glorified practice. Plus, you don't know how everything's going to go, because we have a whole new theme, all new land acts, new skiers in the acts. So, you know, there's a lot of changes that can be made after the first and second show. But the idea is, by the time you get up to the state tournament, you've got that show pretty much perfected. And even with the 4th of July area, you really want to do really good shows there too. So, yeah, you guys got to come out and check us out. But if you do come, you can come to the first show. But please, if you do that, come again. Right?
How do you work that out weather-wise with practice and the shows and stuff? Because we know it rains.
Yeah, if it lightnings, you have to wait, what is it, Rich? Half hour. Okay, so if someone sees lightning, everybody's got to get off the water, and if it doesn't lightning for 30 minutes, you can go again. I'll watch weather coming in. If I see a big lob, maybe an hour before practice, I'll hook up with the secretary or another person or a boat driver and say, you know what, let's just kind of kill this thing, and we won't practice if we see something coming in. We've had some shows where all of a sudden it just started pouring rain, you know, and you know, we just kind of waited out and we do the best we can. But yeah, weather can be an issue, you know, especially for practices. So, but we don't mind, you know, we'll ski in the rain. You know, we love to do it. So that's yeah, it's harder on the boat drivers. They got all the rain gear on, you know. So, yeah. Or if you're barefooting in the rain, you're going 40 miles an hour. Those hailstones are hitting your head.
Riding Sunday morning.
What's that? Yeah, we have Learn to Ski Day, everybody. Do we have books here? Did everybody bring books? Okay, so, I mean, we have one we'll take home. Everybody grab a book when you go home. Oh, but the dates are different, aren't they? We have a Learn to Ski Day. It's usually after the state tournament. So, where is that advertised? But we're getting more and more people coming to learn to ski. August 8th is Learn to Ski. So we got 5 boats going, a ton of chain skiers are helping kids get up on skis. So we encourage you to tell people, spread the word. We get new members through that. It's a lot of fun, just getting the kid up on skis and watching their see. If I know I've got one of my skiers that struggles with smiling, I'll say, watch that kid when he gets up on the skis for the first time. That's how I want the skiers to smile. So.
2 years ago.
Any other questions? Otherwise, Bear's going to kind of close us out, I think, for the night. So, good?
Awesome, guys. Thank you, Dan. And a special thanks to the Historical Society for allowing us here this evening. It's awesome. I hope you all enjoyed our presentation and the stories that we shared tonight. As you know, we provide free shows all summer long, and we are a nonprofit organization. We depend on donations, fundraisers, and sponsorships in our local community from people like you guys. Feel free to stay and mingle along with the team. enjoy some refreshments, and check out our photos, skis, and equipment. And don't forget to look for your Lucky Duck Race ticket down in the back. Thank you for all coming. We appreciate your support. Thank you.